Good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Reuscher. I'm the Safety Products and Services Manager for Global Industrial, and I welcome you to this webinar entitled R3, the Work Environment, Yesterday versus Today. Now, the purpose of this presentation is to start the conversation about what the work environment was and what it is going to be today and moving forward in the future. Agenda. We have a changing business environment. All right, there's a lot of changes coming. We need to be ready for them. We need to think ahead. Right now, a lot of people are just talking about what they need a week from now or 2 weeks from now. You guys are going to have to be looking a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now. How is that business environment going to change for you? And you have to be ready for it. And you're going to have to be nimble and ready to move left, move right, move forward, take a step back, go from there, right? We're going to be talking about the hierarchy of controls and how we use that in doing this today. All right. A lot of you have probably heard about the hierarchy of controls, so that'll be good. Those of you who have not, it'll be a very good, easy way to understand how to solve problems for yourself. Then we're going to go through yesterday versus today. Just basically a bunch of slides talking about the way we used to do things and the way we might have to do things in the future. Then we're going to talk about how to begin in this conversation, how Global is going to help you, how you need to start thinking and moving forward with your business and the safety of your people and your facility. Then we're going to talk briefly how we can help you do this, how we can help you along not only with product, but also just with discussion. And then a summary of the entire process. For myself, my name is Eric Reuscher. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Biology and Environmental Health, both from Illinois State University. I became an environmental consultant after that time in the greater Chicago area. Spent about 7 years doing that work. Did everything in the groundwater and soil and underground storage tank removal, all of those different things. A lot of that was done in the real estate market during those times. I also was an emergency response and reaction team member for Region 5, the United States Environmental Protection Agency. So I responded to environmental responses and emergencies in the Midwest. I then went to a large MRO distributor and was part of their product support team. So I was working with customers there, helping them with everything from how to perform a fit test to how do I calibrate my 4-gas meter on up to figuring out supplied air systems and so forth. The last 3 years, I was a field safety specialist for that large MRO distributor at the time. And during that time, I also became a certified safety professional. So my life has been two parts, both out in the real world, working in environmental health and safety and being that safety professional, and also then in the sales side and helping customers keep their people and their facilities safe. So what is this changing business environment? We're at the start of a new age in the work environment. What do we need to ask ourselves? I came up with 3 questions that pretty much sum it up. First of all, what is this new work environment going to look like? That is going to be different for every single one of you, right? Your companies, your facilities, it might be different from one facility to another facility just because of the nature of the process and the procedures that you're going through. So how that can be scary, and you're wondering to yourself, you know, how are we going to solve some of these problems? Well, just step back, take a look at each individual facility, at each individual process and procedure, and go, how are we going to do this? All right. Break it down into parts, break it down into priority. Start with priority number 1 and just go down the line. Question number 2, who is making the determination on what it looks like? All right. So this is actually a very interesting question, because who's making this determination is yourselves, is the CEO of a company, is a plant manager of a company, is a environmental health and safety manager of a company. It is partly the government, it is partly the federal government, partly your local and city governments. But ultimately, it's the actual individual worker that is making these determinations. When and how will they feel safe? If they feel safe, they can work. If they don't feel safe, they're not going to work as well. Okay? So ultimately, it's the actual worker who makes the determination. What is it? In what type of environment will they feel safe in? Right? And then question number 3, how will we maintain productivity while keeping our people and customers safe? So this goes right back to question 1 and 2, right? So if your customer, or excuse me, if your employee does not feel safe, they're going to be hesitant while they're working, right? They're going to make more mistakes. Why? Because they're worried about trying to reduce exposure or protect themselves from the worker next to them, right? They're not going to be productive. They're not going to be focused on their job, and productivity will go down. So ultimately, you're going to have to make sure that your employees feel safe and your customers feel safe, so that, first of all, production happens. The item that you're making gets made. And 2, that your customer wants to buy that item and that your customer wants to come back to your facility and actually purchase that item. Right? So in all of this, in this entire webinar, I hope to give each one of you some insight and ideas that are already being discussed and implemented out there in the world today. Right? There are things that we've already been talking about for weeks now on how to bring solutions to you. And this is all based on our R3, Restore, Return, and Rebound program. Okay? It is a program to help you restore your companies, restore your workforce, restore your facilities. It's a program to sit there and help you return your people to work safely and efficiently and effectively. And the third, rebound. Come back, sell your product, get that productivity going, and get a product out to your customers and make money for yourselves. Right? So, ultimate objective. All right, provide a way of thinking so you can make the best decision regarding the safety of your people and customers. The ultimate way of thinking is exposure and risk versus productivity and effectiveness. Right? What is the exposure and risk of my employee at whatever job it is that they're doing versus the productivity and effectiveness of that employee at that job and changes that have to come. All right. Again, we are wanting to restore, harden your facilities to meet the new norm. What are the new things that are coming to help keep your people safe? We want to restore your facility. Return, we create a workplace that's safe for both employees and customers, all right? Return, we got to bring our people back and they got to feel safe. And rebound, to help you reclaim your business and your customers. How do we do this? Right? How do we restore, return, and rebound? We look at every job, every application, every work environment and determine what is the risk of exposure and how do we control for that, right? And we use the hierarchy of controls to help make these determinations, right? For those of you that understand the hierarchy of controls, the next slide, you're going to understand it. For those of you who do not, I'll give you a quick explanation of the hierarchy of controls as we go through this, right? But it's a real easy way to think, all right? And it's a way of taking the exposure and risk versus productivity question and answering it, okay? Hierarchy of controls, all right? This is the hierarchy of controls, everybody. It is the upside down pyramid. Right? It is something that is out there all the time. It's an easy piece to understand. It's an easy visual, right? First of all, at the top, you're always trying to eliminate the hazard, right? Take the hazard out of the condition altogether. The only way we do that is by not letting people back into the facility. That's not going to happen. We need the workers, right? Elimination is not really going to happen. You eliminate it if you find somebody who's sick, you tell them to go home, but eliminating it is really hard to do. All right, that's probably not going to happen until a vaccine has occurred. Substitution. You replace the hazard. All right, that's really hard to do. The hazard is a virus. We're not going to replace the virus with another virus or anything such as that. So substitution is really difficult in this situation. However, you can apply a different thinking on substitution with this, is that maybe you substitute procedures for old procedures and new procedures. do some substitution in that way. Engineering controls. It isolate the people from the hazard. This is going to be the real primary location and thought process that people are going to go to, right? Is engineering controls, isolating the people, putting up the plexiglass walls, putting up the heavy plastic welding shields, right? Separating people from themselves, keeping that 6-foot social distancing, right? Engineering controls is going to be the big way that we do a lot of the solutions when it comes to COVID-19 and bringing your companies back, right? Administrative controls. This might be wherever you do change out people ever so often, all right? You have a person that is at the front desk and they're having to meet the delivery drivers that come in, all right? Maybe you have engineering controls in place, but maybe what used to, whenever you used to substitute that person every hour or every half hour, maybe you keep them there, all right? So that exposure is contained to one person, all right? You put all the protections for that one employee there, but you keep that one employee in that room, in that location, and you don't let them wander all over your facility so that they don't potentially expose other people to them, all right? So there's going to be a total complete change in how you think about things, right? We have to think outside the box to bring these solutions to you. And as you see, PPE is the final thing, all right? Everybody's talking about masks. Everybody's talking about gloves. Everybody's talking about face shields and protective wear. It's the last thing that you use whenever you're trying to protect your employees. As long as you keep that in mind and do everything before that, you're going to actually do a better job of protecting your people. Remember, engineering controls, administrative controls. That also is going to include sanitation. That's going to include cleaning your hands, using hand sanitizer. Maybe you bring hand washing stations closer to your point of production so that the person doesn't have to leave, walk all over the facility. They can just turn around, walk 50 feet, wash their hands, turn around, go back to work. You have to think outside of the box. We have to start getting very creative in these solutions. So this is based off of yesterday versus today, all right? If you take a look here, we have yesterday versus today. You see all these different pieces, high touch, show your face, togetherness. This is a key part of our R3 Restore, Return, and Rebound program. And I'm going to go through these kind of quickly, but you'll get the idea of how you have to think, right? You're going to get the idea of what you have to do inside of your facilities to protect your people. Just make sure. High touch versus touch free, all right? So look at all the services and devices that your workforce and or your customers may touch on a daily basis. How can you eliminate the touch or protect people if they have to touch, right? These are just suggestions. They're not absolutes. And remember that this is going to be different for every single facility that you have, all right? Doors, do you have automatic doors? Faucets, can you change out to electronic eye faucets, electronic eye toilets, automatic dispensers for paper towels? Understand tool cribs. So I know there is technology out there for automatic tool cabinets, and that tool gets dispensed out to the person. Now, you're probably going to have somebody on the back side of that tool dispenser who takes that tool out and sanitizes it and then puts it back. Or part of your procedures may be that when you put that tool back into the tool dispenser, you have to wipe it down with a sanitation wipe and you put it away so it's clean for the next person. Either way, you're going to have to sit there and develop procedures around everything. Maybe everybody used to share tools, but maybe now you start getting everybody their own set of tools. But you get the idea. You're starting to understand what we have to do, how you have to think, all right? Show your face versus hide your face. That's a whole new piece for us today. We always had our face. We always knew who we were talking to. All right. Now with all the masks on and PPE, you're not sure who you're talking to. All right. So you have to keep that in mind. Use of face masks for all employees is going to be pretty common here coming forward. All right. So what's that going to look like? You're going to have to remember, you're going to have to find places to dispose of all these face masks. You're going to have to find new PPE storage facilities to store all these face masks and ability for an employee to go get a face mask and use it during the day. All right, so you're going to have to start thinking about these things of all these other issues that are going to get brought to the forefront whenever we start using more of this PPE. All right, how do you identify yourself is a really good one. You've probably seen all the YouTube stuff wherever the nurses and the doctors are putting a picture on their tape to the front of their Tyvek suit for it. Maybe you tell everybody, hey, you have to put your name on the outside of the mask so that people know, right? Whatever it may be. Some people may laugh at it and they may think it's goofy, but if it solves the problem for the time being, then that's what we have to do, all right? Remember, new PPE storage, new disinfection, and more options of PPE, and more options for disinfection. There's UVC now, and there's all sorts of other means that are starting to be developed. Keep that in mind, right? Together versus social distancing. Review all your work environments and determine what are appropriate measures to ensure social distancing and reduce close contact with fellow workers or customers, right? Simple statement that you'll apply across your entire business, right? Work side by side, all right? Today we need to work 6 feet away. How do we separate our people 6 feet apart? All right, group training, computer-based and individual training may become more apparent now, all right? Maybe you spend more time on individual training to ensure that you have the social distancing, that you don't have everybody in a single room. So for those of you that are in the construction or have mobile work crews, how are you going to take care of social distancing for that mobile work crew, right? They're in the truck, they're closer than 6 feet. How are you going to deal with that, right? Good question that you have to ask yourselves. Not sure? Start thinking about it, all right? Retrofit of conference rooms, that's pretty easy. Right? We have a whole lot of product here at Global to sit there and retrofit a conference room, but you need to start thinking about how you're going to do that, right? And then signage and crowd control measures. This is going to be key, all right? So much of what we used to do was habit. We have to break that habit for the new norm to start to take effect, all right? So it's not breaking rules. It's not being bad or anything like that. Everything in the past was a habit, right? That's how we used to do things. Now we have to make these new habits. And signage and crowd control measures are an easy way to start that. It automatically starts changing the behavior and making it habit. So something you all need to keep in mind. All right, we have a ton of signage and crowd control measures here at Global. Work at work versus work at home. Determine the safety needs of your work at home employees. Reevaluate your facility and work procedures for those that will return to the facilities, and how will you screen and protect them at their specific work location. So this is going to be a really hard one, right? How are you going to take 450 employees that come in between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock to start the morning shift, right? And then realize that you have to start that thinking not at the front door. You have to start that thinking about when their car comes to the parking lot. And when they park in the parking lot, how do they get from the car to the front door so that they can enter? You have to be that specific. Those of you that have locations that are in city locations, and you have a bus stop that you have to deal with, that a large portion of your workforce comes off the bus and then moves over to the front door in the facility to enter it. How are you going to deal with that? So you have to look at those things. For your work at home employees, keep in mind, all right, those of you that are there working at home, ergonomically, do they have everything they need? All right? Do they have the desk? Do they have the chair? Are they taking care of themselves whenever they're in a work at home environment? You're going to have to learn and figure out ways to communicate to those work at home employees so that you can ensure their safety also. All right. Remember cubicles. Right, so many facilities now either have cubicles or they still have an open work plan. Guess what? That open office plan is going to go by, right? It's going to go away. You're going to have to find ways to protect your people, keep them 6 feet apart, and put up partitions and barriers to protect each other, to make your employees feel safe. Keep that in mind and come back to it. What do you have to do to make your employees feel safe so that they can work? Open floor plans or separated floor plans, as I mentioned. All right, Caterpillar workstations, all right, workstation shields, 6 foot cubicle walls to 7 to 8 foot cubicle walls. Think about that. I'm 6'3". If I stand up and I have a 6-foot cubicle wall around me, it's not doing me any good if I start coughing and my cough goes over the wall into the person next to it. All right, that's not doing a whole lot of good. Okay? Keep in mind, you have to think outside the box. Enhanced HVAC systems, HEPA filters. Okay? Probably right now, a lot of companies are just using your typical pleated air filter in their HVAC systems, right? It's not HEPA, it's not anything special, all right? But one way that the CDC and other places are recommending is to improve air exchanges inside buildings. Right? Increase the air exchanges, that means that you're going to have more air being filtered and the air is going to be cleaner. And one way you do that is using a HEPA filter. Now you're cleaning air to 0.3 microns and larger, right? That's worthwhile. That's worth doing. It's going to be more expensive, but it's worth keeping your employees safe. All right. Another means that you can tell your employees, hey, we're keeping you safe by doing this. All right. Keep that in mind. And your water bottle refill stations, that's a problem everybody's looking at. They're not sure. They haven't necessarily decided how best this is going to work. Right. A lot of solutions have not even been invented yet. Keep that in mind. Functional common areas versus safe common areas. Yesterday, we have 6 microwaves all on one wall. Right? Today, you're going to have to spread those microwaves out. All right, keep people 6 feet away. All right, and also you don't want that exchange of food and everybody touching the same countertop over and over again. One of the aspects of going to happen with functional common areas versus safe common areas is that those common areas are going to have to be cleaned much more regularly. Right? So what you're usually thinking of is, hey, yeah, the person comes in, cleans their workstation, in the morning, but then we have a late night Jansan crew that comes through and cleans everything fairly well. Well, you're probably going to end up having to take that Jansan crew and have them clean 2 or 3 times a day, and then have a much more deep cleaning at night. All right. So you got to keep that in mind. That's another way of protecting your employees and making them feel safe, letting them know that, hey, this is happening to protect you. All right. Behavioral control signage, again, signage right there. All right. Where you're going to constantly have those stickers on the floor, stay 6 feet away. Crowd control barriers, stanchions, keeping people apart. All right. Maybe a timer in a room so that, hey, you have a break for 15 minutes. You have 15 minutes now and you can go, but then after that 15 minutes, you have to get up and go and the next person comes in to take their break. But we have to think outside the box. Wash hands versus sanitizing hands. All right, 2 to 5 second hand washing, 20-second longer hand washing now. I understand that a lot of these processes are going to increase the time of your employee whenever they have break or they go to lunch or they have to have a bathroom break. All right, it's going to take more time. They're not just going to be able to go in and get out. All right, because production's important, but if your people get sick, you don't produce anything at all. So this is very important to make sure that you work to keep your employees safe and healthy. And then you can keep on producing. Then we can keep on working at this. We'll get better at it. New inventions will come along. New solutions and best practices will be found. And the new norm will start to develop itself. But it'll take some time. But you just have to be patient. But understand, each of your facilities has its own solutions. Facilities cleaned once a day versus many times a day. What is your current janitorial schedule? Do you consider it sufficient to keep your employees and customers feeling safe? That's a look for each one of you to do, to sit there and think about, how do we clean our facility? Housekeeping is the easiest safety solution. Right? So many places have such horrible housekeeping, and it creates so many other risks and hazards. Understand that if you do a lot of these things, there's going to be a lot of other risks and hazards that are removed from your work environment. And your employees are going to be that much more safe, not only from COVID-19, but being cuts, slips, trips, and falls, all right, concussions, head bangs, being hit by a fork truck, right? All sorts of other possible risks and hazards can actually be solved just by housekeeping, all right? So keep that in mind. First thing you may want to do, take a look at all your facilities and go, how are we going to clean them up? and then go from there. All right. Also, improved hazard communication training. This cleaning, this going into your facility and cleaning it is going to increase your discussion with all of your people going, hey, we have these hazards, we have COVID-19, here's how we're going to do it. But while we were looking at everything, we have these hazards too, we want to communicate to you. It's going to improve hazard communication. In-person meetings versus virtual meeting. We're all doing that right now. That's the reason for this webinar. That's the reason for what we're doing today, right? So that information can be given to you so you can take it and start applying it and making your people safe, making your facility safe, all right? Keeping them healthy, keeping your people healthy, keeping your customers healthy, all right? And ultimately, then increasing your productivity and making more money and getting your customers to come back to you. So how do we begin with this? All right, which that's an interesting question. A lot of people have wondered, okay, you've been listening to me now for 26 minutes. All right, how do we do this? We start the conversation with your global account representative, okay? We want to help you use your time wisely. Let us give you back some time, all right? We can bring solutions to you. That's what our job is. That's what we're here to do. We've been out working with our product management, looking for what best practices are out there, talking to governments, talking to local governments, finding out what type of solutions they need or they're finding, or problems that are being uncovered that they never expected, and then how do we solve it, right? So go talk to your global account representative. Let that person take some of that off of you and find a solution for you, all right? So we need to have a sense of urgency in this, but we don't need to panic, okay? We need to know that we need to get going on this, all right? We're going to start to open up. Things are happening pretty quickly, and we need to think about this stuff now, not a day from now, not 2 weeks from now. We need to start thinking about it now, but we don't need to panic. Just take a look at it, things, start having this discussion with your leadership and with your employees, and make a priority list and start at number 1 and go from there, all right? Ask yourself, how are we planning to keep our people and customers safe? Ask yourself, who is developing the back to work procedures, all right? What issues other than PPE are you struggling to find solutions for? These are 3 real basic questions that if you start with these questions, you're going to start to find answers and get your people safe and move forward in a good plan to start to open up your business. Right? Are you screening employees when they, as they enter, or will you? Most people are. All right. How will you identify employees or visitors that have been screened? That's one a lot of people have found out. All right. Right now, a lot of people are using simple disposable bands on their wrist. Right? How will you isolate people that get sick? Keep in mind, they're going to come in. They'll come in and they'll have no fever. Right. The CDC fever guideline is 100.4. All right. They'll come in with 99. That's not a fever. All right. But then during the day, all of a sudden they start feeling sick. They come to the boss. Hey, I'm not feeling good. So now what are you going to do? You have to isolate them. You're going to have to get them out of the building. You're going to have to get them home. But now what are you going to do with that workspace? Right? CDC says to cordon off that workspace. Don't let anybody enter it for 24 hours. That lets everything die inside that workspace. Now you send in people to clean it. Right? Can you do that? Or do you need to have a procedure that workspace needs cleaned right now? You have to take a look into that. Simple, how are you going to maintain social distancing? All right, real important piece there. All right. How can we help? We partner as a team. We have over 1.6 million products available with significant coverage for the R3 categories that you've seen and heard about. Right. We have dedicated product managers searching for new technology and products, dedicated customer service to ensure problems are solved for you. Right. Then you have your dedicated account manager, global territory sales managers, and safety resources, both internal, such as myself, and external, all of our vendors. Right? Our approach, we listen and ask questions. We want to help you find the problems and then find the solution. Right? We educate our customers on the capabilities of our product offering. That's part of what we're doing here. We connect opportunities with internal global resources to offer solutions or funnel to a vendor partner. All right. So we want to funnel some of your larger problems to people such as myself. Now we'll get our vendors involved and bring a true solution to you, all right? So we can partner and bring a fast, simple, and effective safety service to you. Summary. You have to look at the exposure and risk versus their productivity and effectiveness. Okay? We are always working to strike that balance between these two, all right? Always. Safety has always been that. Right? We're in a new world, a new environment, with a new hazard and risk that we must control for and work with. We're developing solutions on the fly for the new, unexpected, and out of the ordinary hazards for yesterday's work environment. We must think differently and out of the box. There are no quick fixes. Keep that in mind. No quick fixes. Not all problems have been determined, and solutions still have to be invented. All right, this is all new. It's going to take some time, but we're going to figure it out. Summary. Here, Global Industrial is your trusted partner. We're already thinking outside the box for you. We're all preparing our people to have new and difficult conversations regarding what this new environment will look like. Remember, not all the solutions are there, and some of the solutions may require a change in our procedure. It may even increase time and hurt some productivity issues. But that's here on the front end. We're going to figure it out. We're going to work through it. New things are going to be invented, and we're going to get our productivity and our production times to go up again. But right now, we just need to sit there and get started, right? And that's the most important thing, all right? We have much of what you already need and are looking for the new solutions that you will need. That's what we're doing. That's what we're here to do, right? We're here to help you restore, return, and rebound your business. I want to thank you for your time today. I hope this has helped you out. I hope it gives you some insight on how you can think, how you need to go about your business to keep your people and your facility safe. And I look forward to the next time that I can help you out and bring some new and important information to you. Take care, be safe. Thank you very much.